Welcome back to another episode of the Bear Trap on the Boomer Bust channel, a Bears podcast by a Bears fan. I'm your host, Terry. And today, recapping our, what week is this? Week 16 loss against the Buffalo Bills. Not a whole lot to say. We know it was, I'm sorry. I was going to say we all know it's cold, but not everybody lives in Chicago or Illinois. So it might not be cold where you are, but if you're in Illinois and most places in the Midwest, you know we're going through a real cold storm right now. So the whole weather and wind was a factor, but not a snowstorm or anything. Plus, it's Buffalo, so they're kind of used to it. But you knew it wasn't going to be a typical game. But either way, we played tough, and it's funny how we're sitting here in week 16. And I said this week one, and it has held true. That's pretty much what I said. Was the only thing you could take away from that first game, which was a actual monsoon. The only thing you could take away is how much we fought, and so we fought, and I told you the only thing I take away is just what the mindset and the spirit that the coaches had kind of built into the team, and we've seen that throughout the year. And so early on this game, it was our run game. Justin Fields did not run, of course. When I bet on him, then he doesn't run, but Justin Fields didn't really run today, and so we had our more traditional run game. And then, of course, our bootlegs and our play actions kind of built off of that. And it was effective for the most part, especially early on. And I think Josh Allen just really took himself out of a lot this game. I really don't know what he was thinking. And you could see, like, cold weather, wind, what any of that, he can throw. He can throw, even when the pocket's dirty. He could get off of those things. He could throw. And so I think sometimes you got gunslingers like Pat Mahomes that have all that talent, and they don't always think. And so some of the stuff Josh Allen was doing was hurting his team. But I would still give credit to the coverage downfield. We got our backup corner, and then our backup safety. And they had what's his name, Gordon, at the outside corner. He didn't play nickel, so that was interesting. I wonder if that was just because of the personnel in terms of who was hurt and everything, or if they saw what I saw. He's not a good nickel. He's not a good nickel at all. And so obviously he had the interception today. Josh Allen gave it to him, to be quite honest. Again, that was one of those decisions he made where he's just like, what are you doing? And it's the same thing with Morrow. I mean, it wasn't the exact same. Morrow, he really just gift wrapped that to him, but it was just a lollipop up to Gordon. But either way, I just think you're asking him to cover a lot less space on the outside and to do a lot less. And I think that's where he's better suited. I don't think he's that great at nickel, but so credit to the coverage for making Josh Allen have to make different decisions. But overall, I think he was the biggest factor in why the offense didn't have a good first half. And then in the second half, things just completely turned around. We started to look like the Bears, and they started to look like the Bills. Their defense is not highly ranked this year like they were last year, and they still, well, Tre'Davious is back, but I still, it seems like he's still working his way up to 100%. He's been going a long time. And then, of course, Micah Hyde's been out for the year. But for the most part, they still have those really good players. So they play hard and they play smart, even though they're not ranked super high this year. And so they kind of turned it up to a different level, too, in the second half. And our traditional pass game was just not there. I mean, you don't have Jenkins. I think Whitehair was hurt. Someone was in that's not usually in. But I didn't catch which spot he was at. And then of course you got Riley Reef. Bourne played some. I don't know what's going on. Maybe they just think Reef is playing better than him. But Reef is still in. Schofield's in for Tevin Jenkins. We know fully healthy, we're still not that great at pass pro, but our traditional pass game just, we weren't going to be able to play against the Bills, who don't have a premier edge rusher without Von Miller, but still, you got some pretty good guys on that D line. So we weren't able to do much with that besides a few big plays off play action and the touchdown where they completely busted the coverage and no one covered that guy. Outside of that, though, like I said, in the second half, our traditional pass game just wasn't doing anything. So it was pretty standard. I think going forward, though, we lose, and hey, like I said, at this point, I wouldn't even been mad if we won, because at first it was looking like, man, it was looking like the Bills are not gonna be able to handle the threat of Justin Fields and cover everybody else. And then their offense was looking bad. So I'm like, man, we might mess around and win this game. But like I told y'all before, the number 2 pick gives us more options. But as far as the players, I don't think we necessarily need the number 2 pick. I don't know if I just said number 1. That was an accident. But um, I and that, that sounds weird to say you don't need it, but I'm saying it's not entirely, as fans, for us, it's not entirely like a necessity, because obviously the team is not going to play to lose, and I'm glad they're not. I'm glad they're still playing. But for the fans, the ones that are trying to look to our future, from again the very quick study I did on some of these top guys, I don't think it's a necessity to have the number 2 pick. So if we were able to take down the Eagles and the Bills and bump ourselves out of position, then okay, I would have been okay with it. It would have been interesting though, because there's a clump of people with 4 wins. So yeah, if we would have won 2 games, yeah, we probably would have dropped way down. So that probably wouldn't been as great, but still, I think if we would have came out with a win against one of those teams, I would have taken that and sacrificed for draft positioning. But as it stands, we did lose those games, so we are locked in number 2, and really we have a new enemy. The Broncos and Rams are going to be facing each other, so one of them is going to get a win. They might tie, which helps. So they're, less and less on our tail. But really the team that's on our tail now is the Cardinals, who's playing with a third string quarterback. So it doesn't look like they're going to be winning the rest of this time. So we have to keep an eye on them. Outside of that, though, it looks like we should be locked into this number 2 pick. But going up against the Lions, some of these divisional guys, it's very possible we get a win at the end of the year. So we just got to keep our eyes open on that. But I do think we're going to be really good, man. I think we're going to be really, really good. And I talked about it before in terms of like positions and, what to build with. But um, I'm so serious. If Jenkins is healthy and we can get a right tackle and then we can get an edge rusher, we're going to be in some business. And we do need to get I mean, I think Claypool and them is good, but if you get a big time receiver, that's always going to help. But we're going to be good. And really, I wouldn't even say the positions. Well, that stuff does matter. But really, it's going to be about Justin Fields. Is he going to put in the work to get better? And if he does, man, we can be really, really good, because I just have a lot of confidence in this coaching staff. As I mentioned before, they just really have shown that they put in whatever they have done. They have really put in a fire to this team. And a lot of these players probably won't be starters next year. So whoever the new people are, if we can carry that fire over to them, this is going to be a really good team. This is going to be a really good team, but we still have to take care of business. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, that's it for me, man. Go down the comment section. Let me know what you think. Share it around, get the conversation started. Thumbs up, subscribe, and remember, stay up and bear down.